Have you ever felt like you were the only one standing for what you believe in? Imagine being one person against hundreds, your voice a whisper against a roaring crowd. Today, we read diving into one of the most epic showdowns in history. Elijah versus the prophets of Baal. This isn't just an ancient story. It's a powerful lesson about unshakable faith, the power of prayer, and the ultimate supremacy of God. Stick with us, because what happens on Mount Carmel will change how you see your own battles. The stage is set in ancient Israel, a nation spiritually adrift. Under the rule of King Ahab and his notorious wife, Queen Jezebel, the worship of the one true God had been replaced by the worship of Baal, a pagan deity believed to control the rain and fertility. The land was suffering from a severe drought, a direct consequence of its spiritual rebellion, just as the prophet Elijah had declared. For 3 long years, not a drop of rain had fallen. The rivers dried up, the crops failed, and the people were desperate. In this climate of despair, God gives Elijah a daunting mission: confront King Ahab and challenge the false religion that had gripped the nation. Imagine the courage it took. Elijah was a wanted man, blamed by the king for the nation's suffering. Yet, filled with divine purpose, Elijah arranges a meeting with Ahab. When they finally meet, the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Ahab greets him with contempt. "Is that you troubler of Israel?" But Elijah, unfazed, fires back the truth. "I have not made trouble for Israel," he declares. "But you and your father's family have. You have abandoned the Lord's commands and have followed the Baals." Elijah doesn't just make an accusation. He proposes a public test, a divine contest to prove who the one true God is. This is where our story shifts from a quiet confrontation to a spectacular, public showdown on Mount Carmel. Elijah lays down the challenge. "Now summon the people from all over Israel to meet me on Mount Carmel. And bring the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table." The stage is set for an epic encounter. One prophet of God against 850 prophets of false gods, with the entire nation of Israel as the audience. The stakes couldn't be higher. The very soul of the nation hangs in the balance. When everyone is assembled on the mountain, Elijah addresses the crowd with a piercing question that still echoes today. How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him. The people, caught in their indecision and confusion, remain silent. They are spectators, waiting to see who will win. So Elijah lays out the rules of the contest. "I am the only one of the Lord's prophets left, but Baal has 450 prophets. Get 2 bulls for us. Let them choose one for themselves, and let them cut it into pieces and put it on the wood but not set fire to it. I will prepare the other bull and put it on the wood but not set fire to it. Then you call on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord, the God who answers by fire. He is God." The people agree. The test is simple, direct, and undeniable. The prophets of Baal go first. They prepare their bull, lay it on the altar, and begin their ritual. From morning until noon, they cry out, "O Baal, answer us!" They dance and leap around the altar in a frenzy. But there is no response. No voice, no sound, no spark. The sky remains silent. As midday approaches, Elijah, in a display of bold confidence and perhaps a bit of holy sarcasm, begins to taunt them. "Shout louder," he says. Surely he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened. His words are like salt in their wounds, highlighting the absurdity of their belief in a powerless deity. Provoked by Elijah's mockery, the prophets of Baal escalate their efforts. They shout louder and, according to their gruesome custom, begin to cut themselves with swords and spears until their blood flows. They rave and prophesy until the time for the evening sacrifice, their desperation growing with each passing moment. But still, there is nothing. No answer. No one paying attention. Their gods are silent, powerless, and ultimately non-existent. The futility of their worship is laid bare for all to see. Now it's Elijah's turn. The atmosphere on Mount Carmel is thick with anticipation. The prophets of Baal are exhausted and defeated. The crowd is watching intently. What will this lone prophet do? Elijah's first act is deeply significant. He calls the people to come near him. Then he repairs the altar of the Lord, which was in ruins. He takes 12 stones, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel, rebuilding a symbol of their united identity and covenant with God. This isn't just about a miracle. It's about restoration. He's not just rebuilding an altar of stone. He's rebuilding the spiritual foundation of a nation. Next, he digs a trench around the altar, large enough to hold a significant amount of water. He arranges the wood, cuts the bull into pieces, and lays it on the wood. Then he does something that seems completely counterintuitive, especially in a time of drought. He commands the people, fill 4 large jars with water and pour it on the offering and on the wood. They do it once. He says, do it again. They do it a second time. Do it a third time, he insists. They do it a third time. The water runs down and completely soaks the sacrifice, the wood, and fills the entire trench. Why did he do this? Elijah was making the miracle undeniable. There would be no room for skepticism, no claims of a hidden fire or a lucky spark. If this waterlogged altar was going to burn, it would require a power far beyond human explanation. He was creating a scenario where only God could get the glory. He was demonstrating absolute faith that his God was more than capable of overcoming any obstacle, even an impossible amount of water. With the stage perfectly set, the altar rebuilt, the sacrifice soaked, and the nation watching, Elijah steps forward. He doesn't shout, he doesn't dance, he doesn't work himself into a frenzy. He simply prays. His prayer is calm, direct, and powerful. It's a model of effective prayer. He says, Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again. His prayer has 3 key elements. First, it is all about God's glory. Let it be known that you are God. Second, it confirms his own role as God's servant. I am your servant. Third, and most importantly, it has a redemptive purpose for the people, that you are turning their hearts back again. Elijah's goal wasn't just to win a contest. It was to win back the hearts of his people for God, and in an instant the response comes. Suddenly, fire from the Lord falls from the sky. This is not a normal fire. It consumes the burnt offering, the wood, the stones of the altar, and the soil. It even licks up the water in the trench. A supernatural blaze from heaven obliterates everything on the altar, leaving no doubt about its divine origin. The reaction of the people is immediate and overwhelming. When they see this incredible display of God's power, they fall prostrate on the ground, their faces to the earth. The silence is broken by a single unified cry that thunders across the mountain. The Lord, He is God! The Lord, He is God! In that moment, their indecision is shattered. The truth is undeniable. They have witnessed the power of the one true God, and they declare their allegiance. The spiritual battle is won. The prophets of Baal are exposed as frauds, and their influence is broken, but the story isn't over. After this dramatic victory, Elijah tells King Ahab to go eat and drink, for there is the sound of a heavy rain. Remember the drought? The problem that started this whole story? Elijah, his faith soaring, climbs to the top of Mount Carmel, tucks his face between his knees, and begins to pray earnestly for rain. He sends his servant to look toward the sea 7 times. 6 times the servant returns with the same report. There is nothing, but Elijah doesn't give up. His prayer is persistent. He knows the God who can send fire can also send rain. On the 7th time, the servant comes back and says, "A cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea." That tiny cloud was the sign. That was all Elijah needed. He tells his servant to run and warn Ahab to get in his chariot and go before the rain stops him. Soon, the sky grows black with clouds, the wind picks up, and a heavy rain begins to fall, ending the 3-year drought. The land and the hearts of the people were being refreshed. The God who proved his power with fire now shows his mercy with rain. So what can we learn from this incredible story of Elijah? First, it's a powerful reminder of God's absolute supremacy. In a world full of competing voices and ideologies, the God of the Bible is not just one option among many. He is the one true, all-powerful God. Second, it highlights the power of one person's faith. Elijah stood alone, but because he stood with God, he was in the majority. Your faith, even if it feels small, can move mountains or in this case, call down fire. Third, it's a testament to the power of prayer. Elijah's simple, heartfelt prayer was more effective than all the screaming and self-harm of 850 false prophets. True prayer connects us to the source of all power. Maybe today you feel like you're facing your own Mount Carmel. You might feel outnumbered, overwhelmed, or your situation might seem impossible. like a waterlogged altar. The story of Elijah encourages us to repair our own altars, to drench our impossible situations in faith, and to pray with confidence to the God who answers by fire. He is the same God today as he was for Elijah, and he is still in the business of turning hearts back to himself. Thank you for joining us on this journey to Mount Carmel. If this story has inspired you, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more powerful content that brings the Bible to life. And don't forget to share this video with someone who might need a reminder that with God nothing is impossible. See you in the next video.